Hey, good evening. This is Dr. Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center, and we are going to be talking about common problems, and we're going to talk about some simple solutions. Now, I got to tell you, we were just laughing, we were joking around here in the office, and we've been talking about some of these things, and oftentimes we don't know how simple the solution can be to some very complex problems. And in fact, tonight we're just going to go through a couple of these, and I'm going to ask you to do something different. I want you to pause for just a second. And I want you to think about some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. And then I want you to write in. I want your questions. What are some of those simple remedies that you've discovered over the years for some very common problems? Now, I'm going to tell you, we're going to scratch the surface tonight. In fact, we're going to talk about, trying to remember what side of the car the gas tank is on. You're rolling down the road and you see your gas gauge and it's slowly going towards empty, and you're thinking, well, I got to stop and get gas. Well, how many times have you gotten into the gas station and all of a sudden you're pulling up and you're realizing after you park the car and you get out, well, the gas tank is on the opposite side. Well, something that's really simple and really easy, most people aren't aware of, is this really tiny little arrow that shows up on right beside the gas tank that's on your gas gauge. If you want to know how to save yourself time at a gas station, well, you're going to want to look at that gas gauge first. Because think about it. In today's day and age, we hear the stories. And, this seems like such a simple solution to a common problem, but in the moment, it helps to protect you guys. We want to make sure that we are protecting ourselves when we're going into those environments. We want to be able to get in and get out because we don't know what danger lurks there. And quite honestly, we also don't want to be around those locations any longer than absolutely necessary. So, obviously, if you've never seen this before, I want you to take a moment, hit the like button, because the next things are going to be more direct to some of the things that you probably have to deal with on a regular basis. So, with that being said, come on. We have talked about a very common problem, stinky feet. Now, I am not going to go through the workshop that we did. In fact, we're going to post a link in the comments section for what it is, how it is that you're going to be able to take care of this stinky feet. In fact, very simply, this is all you need to remedy stinky feet in your household. Now, I got to tell you, some of you, you're saying amen, thank goodness, because, the boys come walking into the house, they take their shoes off and this green mist just simply comes out of the shoe. Or even worse yet, they take their shoes off, they leave them in the room, their socks are still standing up because of all the moisture and all that stink that's there. And you go walking in the room, and it feels like you just got hit with napalm. Okay, not good at all. Well, you're going to go ahead and you're going to follow these simple instructions. And the wonderful thing is that for most of us, we have all this stuff at home. For most of us, this is stuff that, you can stop at the CVS and pick up. It's simple, it's easy. But the wonderful thing is that once you do this, it remedies the problem, and you're going to recognize you don't ever have to worry about stinky feet again. Now listen, we think that, well, stinky feet, okay, it's just a smell. Well, the answer is no. Stinky feet can actually lead to a ton of other problems. When we start getting this abundance of buildup on the bottom of our feet that ultimately leads to us having that stinky feet sensation, well, guess what? Eventually that gets to dry out. It gets to have those really big, thick cracks on your heels, and people complain about how painful it is, and then all of a sudden you're not walking properly anymore. That same moisture that builds up is, it's a ripe environment for fungus and different types of problems. So whether we're talking about athlete's foot or fungus that grows underneath the nail bed. Well, guess what? These are things that if in fact you're addressing them sooner rather than later, you get the opportunity of not only saving, your nose from having to smell that, but you're helping somebody else not to have to deal with any of those other potentially damaging problems. So I'm going to encourage you, hit the link below that you're going to see in the feed, and you can go ahead and watch this very short video about how to correct stinky feet. Now, since we have, so many people who travel all the time. They travel for their jobs. In fact, some people, even just for summer vacation, they say, well, listen, I'm going down to the beach. I can't take all my equipment from the basement of my house. There's no gym that's close by. And they end up with this problem where it's, how do I work out? How do I create that expansion for my body so that I'm able to stay in shape and stay on track, or at least keep myself from going backwards too much while I'm traveling and on vacation? Well, this is a very simple solution to a very common problem. In fact, for some of you out there, you've probably had to deal with this yourself if you used to travel for your job, or if you presently travel a lot around the country, visiting different sites. Well, with this, you need absolutely no equipment. You're able to do it absolutely anywhere. And the amazing thing is that you're able to do this within the confines of either a hotel room or an apartment that you've rented, simply and easily. Now, you're going to see some very old-fashioned exercises here. Stuff that, it seems so simple. But in the end, it works our body tremendously. Jumping jacks, I know we all learned these as a kid. We were all told, hey, listen, you stand in line, everybody wrote in rows and columns, and you all did them in unison, right? I mean, that's the way I learned them. By the way, that unison part, well, that was like hit or miss, mainly miss. The amazing thing about jumping jacks is that you have a basic jumping jack. It gets your heart rate up and moving very, very quickly. It gets a lot of the different joints around your body in motion also, which is absolutely fabulous. So it's a great stretch. It's a great way of loosening up the joints and the muscles, but it also raises your heart rate. Now, you can take that one very simple exercise and you can actually intensify it by doing what are called squat jacks, where instead of doing it from a standing position, you squat down and you do the jumping jack from this position. You will intensify the extent of that you're going to be working this lower extremity, and in turn, your heart rate will go up exponentially. Now, the amazing thing is that you can create a circuit of these things within the environment that you have, so that you're never allowing your heart rate to absolutely drop down to a really comfortable level, so you get that great aerobic burn with the anaerobic workout also. So from there, it's those planks. Now, I know they're dull, they're boring, there's no bells or whistles. Let's be real. That plank is capable of working a tremendous amount of this core of your body, along with your arms. Different muscle groups in your legs, your glutes are capable of being engaged. And what you see, which is a traditional plank position that's demonstrated here, can be modified. You can do low planks, you can do high planks. You're able to walk back and forth between the two. You're capable of going ahead and transitioning into side planks. The amazing thing is that you're able to modify this tremendously in order to actually vary the workout and vary the muscle groups that are involved. This last thing, many people don't like those things. They hear that. They're bad for you. Squats. Now, we're going to be doing non-weighted squats. And one of the problems that I oftentimes see people make, or the problem they produce for themselves, is they try and do this too fast. The up and down too fast. you actually want to slow that process down just a little bit. You want to make sure that your butt is over your heels, that you're actually feeling those heels drilling into the ground to make sure that you're working that. And I recommend you actually put your hand over your chest so that you're not lunging forward as you're doing this, but you've got this nice point of reference, one over your belly, one over your chest, so as you're going down evenly and smoothly in order to make sure that you're protecting that low back of yours. Now, even with squats, you can modify these. You can modify them so many different ways. In the end, the biggest thing is doing these things. Now, for some of you, you're saying, well, listen, I don't travel. I don't travel. I don't have a job that requires me to travel. But here's the thing. As we want to be more financially conscious, as we want to think about how it is that we're able to protect ourselves, stay in shape, so that we're able to build our immunity naturally at home, guess what? These are things that you can do on the home front every single day to help strengthen yourself so that you are less likely to be one of those statistics that you hear about on the news. One of those people that you hear about, developing different types of problems and issues. The best problem to have is the one that you never get. These are some of those things that you can work into your daily activities in order to ensure that you don't become one of those statistics. Now, to continue in this, you know what? Most environments, they have at least one chair, all right, which is great. Now, I know for some, they look down at the floor, the carpeting in a hotel room or in an apartment, and they say, well, I'm not getting down there. I don't know what's down there. That's wonderful. Guess what? Instead of doing those planks on the floor, you can do modified planks using a chair. You're able to do push-ups from the same position. So we don't actually have to get down onto the floor in order to do that. We're solving another problem. Now, the last two things, walking and running. These are things that you're able to do around a hotel, around different environments. It takes no equipment whatsoever. And hey, listen, if you're in one of those high-rise type of environments, you're able to do a steps routine, a stairs workout while you're in there, which, again, you're only going to want to do that one or two times, because I'm going to tell you, it is an intense workout. But let's solve this problem. This is a really common problem. People say all the time, I don't have the time. I don't have the equipment. I don't have, I'm away from my home gym. This solves all of those problems all at one time. You creating your own workout routine with no equipment whatsoever. So, well, we may as well talk about doubling down on our efforts here, all right? Because here's the thing. I hear from people all the time, I don't have enough time. It's not the equipment, it's not the money to go join the gym. For some of us, it's the time element involved in taking and making sure that we're doing the right thing for ourselves. Now, you're going to see this little thing over here, that little music stand. In fact, I have one of them right over here with me that has my iPad on it, okay? And oftentimes, patients will say, well, listen, I didn't have time last night to see you on Facebook Live, or, time is getting away from me in order to make sure that I'm listening to the workshops like are part of my care plan. So, well, listen, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that we're combining some of these really great activities that we're supposed to be doing on a regular basis to ensure that, well, we're not only physically changing our body, we're not only putting ourselves into that great position, so we're teaching ourselves the better habit, the better behavior, but third, most importantly, is we're educating ourselves. We're going to stop doing the bad things that have gotten us to where we were at, those problems that we had, and we're going to learn those good and better behaviors so that we can protect ourselves moving forward. So I've set up this chair, okay, and I set up my music stand with my iPad on it, and if in fact, I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and normally I would actually have the iPad right in front of me, but for demonstration purposes, we're going to put it off to the side. One of the common exercises that most of our patients do is what's called chin juts. So it's in order to help to actually get rid of the anterior head carry. And if this iPad was playing my YouTube channel, well, listen, we're capable of going ahead and making sure that we're working on our CVP or our mirror image exercises as we're doing and listening to our workshop. We're also capable of taking and doing our rhomboid exercises and our rotator cuff stretches. Many of you out there, one of the problems that you have, one of the concerns that you have, is the fact that you're rolling your shoulders forward. You know, it's that bad postural position. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to help train our body. So as we're watching our workshops, we're capable of taking the tubing, and we're taking your TheraBand material, and we're capable of just simply doing our exercises and holding it there for the 5 or 10 seconds and relaxing and coming back and doing it again. We're not limited to having to just do one thing. We're capable of taking the educational component, the exercise, the chin juts, the also stretch that enables us to work on that anterior head carry, and we're capable of incorporating them all at one time and taking that simple 15 to 20 minutes and actually making the most of our time. Now, one of the positive benefits that comes from our children seeing us doing this is the fact that they learn from our actions and our behaviors. And our children, like we all know, they want to replicate what they see us doing. Not the words that are coming out of our mouth, they want to replicate what they see us doing. This is a demonstration of that good postural position, good ergonomics that we want to reinforce. Now, we're going to cover one more thing here. And that's the ABCs of a power breakfast. Oh, yeah, by the way, the ABCs and G of a power breakfast. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is one of those problems that so many parents have. In fact, not just feeding their children breakfast, but themselves. Now, some people, they say, well, you know, you could get a bar. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to eat a bar. I don't want to eat some processed food. There's good and better bars, but you know what? I still don't want to do that. One of the choices is the ABCs. It's almond butter. Now, you can substitute peanut butter in this case. I like almond butter. A is for almond butter. Forgive me, PBCs that doesn't float for me. So I'm going to stick with the ABCs, okay? So, almond butter. We've got blueberries. Again, I'm going to tell you, B also stands for bananas. So, you're not stuck with blueberries. You got choices. B is for blueberries, B is for bananas. C stands for coconut milk. Now, for some of you out there, you're going to say, well, I would much prefer almond milk. I'm just simply going to say, if in fact we're looking at some of those better choices, coconut milk would be one of those better choices because of the omega-3 fatty acids that are found in there. But this is one of those things that is a taste preference. Finally, the G. G is the granola, okay? Now, you can also use coconut milk. You're able to use coconut yogurt in this process also in order to actually create that power breakfast for yourself. But the wonderful thing is just simply remembering this little simple explanation is going to help you very quickly put together a breakfast that's balanced, packed with good fats, good nutrition, that's going to have a long-lasting, filling sensation for you so that you're not eating something that, quite honestly, you're just going to be hungry again in 30 minutes. Not what you want to do. So we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. Now, I have to say, these are just a couple of very common problems that I hear about all the time as I go through the course of my day. Things that parents are concerned about, things that my people who are out there working on a daily basis are concerned about. These are some very simple solutions. But like I said, you know what? I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear some of the things that you've discovered over time are really simple solutions to some common problems that you have to deal with on a regular basis. Now, as always, you want to make sure that you're liking this video. You want to make sure that you're leaving that comment in there. And if there's not a common solution that you've come up with, or I should say a simple solution that you've come up with for a common problem, I'm going to ask you to make sure that you're leaving me a comment about what your big takeaway was. What did you enjoy hearing about? And then finally, share this information. Share it with others. They have the same problems as we have. Many individuals love to know that there are just simple solutions. Because the last thing we want to hear is somebody who's been suffering with a problem that could have been solved simply and easily so much sooner. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.